In this video, we are going to make a website. We're going to use AI to make this website. We're going to use Bolt.new and we're going to use Claude. You're going to get to know the ins and outs of deployment of your own web package, how to do basic Git stuff. But if you're looking to graduate beyond WordPress, this is for you. Let's get started. Okay, so the website we're building is for my wife. She's from Argentina and she has a business online. They're starting a new school. It's a yoga school. So all this is in Spanish. So I'm going to copy all that. And first I'm going to paste it into Claude. And I'm going to say, hablas español. And we're going to write our prompt here. We're going to be as specific as possible for what we want. You might have to rewrite it a couple times, but ideally we don't have to re-prompt the tools. Here's the content for the sections. All right. So now I'm going to send this off to Bolt. And I'm going to send it off to Claude. And we're just going to see what they say. First off. Oh, it's speaking to me in Spanish too. Well, that's okay. Sí, hablo español. Entiendo que necesitas una página web. Okay. So Claude understands that we need a website in Spanish for a yoga school named Sadhana. It's going to create 2 pages, a principal page, a landing page, and one for the course. Okay. So it's literally just coding this for us. All right. And we're going to take a look at what that looks like soon. Now, Bolt.new is also coding it for us, but it looks like it's doing it with a bit more of a framework. So right here off the bat, you can see it's using this framework called Astro. It's using Tailwind. So it's creating an actual package, which means it's going to be a lot easier to update this website, depending on how we deploy it. But basically, it'll be cleaner to add new pages and update this website because it's a package. Now, if it's just a simple landing page, that's what Claude is doing here. Claude is literally just giving me HTML for a landing page, which is really all we need. But there it is. All information on the course. Pretty basic, but hey, they gave that to us. Claude built that for us. And then you can see the code, you can see the preview. Oh, let's move that over. So you can see the code and you can see the preview here. So pretty cool. Now this is building the course website. Okay, but there's 2 main problems here. Is it's just giving us HTML and CSS. And basically, while that's great, and it's going to show everything we want, what really we need is a package. So you see here, pages, layouts, assets, components. So here in assets, you're going to have images. These are SVGs, so you can't really see them. Components, layouts, like what is the layout of the page going to look like? And then what are the pages? And this basically imports the layout here from layout.astro, which is like the template basically. It's importing the layout and then boom, it's just putting in everything for the page and layout. That's everything there. Then there's index, same thing. So as you can see in this package here, it's going to be a lot easier to add new pages that keep the same style. Otherwise, here in Claude, you're just doing a whole lot of copying and pasting. Okay, so right off the bat, you're going to see a good reason to make a package. But that said, now I could say, let's turn this into a Next.js Vercel package, for example. You think is best so we can add more pages later. Let's see what Claude says. There's a good chance just messaging Claude like this, we're not going to have enough space on the conversation because it has a context limit. But let's see what it does. And while that happens now, let's go back to Bolt. And let's see what this looks like. So we can preview it here in Bolt. Oh, wow, it made it look fairly similar as Claude. Yeah, so actually, to be honest, Claude's thing was a lot better looking. But we're going to work on it. And that's the point of this video. I'm going to show you how we're going to work on it. And then we're going to ship it and deploy it. Now, will I make this as perfect as they kind of want it? I don't know, but they really just need a waitlist page. So we'll just go from there. So Claude, meanwhile, is over here working out everything, structure of the Next.js project with Tailwind CSS. And we'll see if we don't go past the conversation limit here. But let's go here now and let's say, okay, we like it. And it changes to the design or any additional features. Yes, so yes, let's use the Google fonts. Let's find a Google font. All right, we're going to use this one, Cormorant and Open Sans. So I'm going to say, use the Google font Cormorant for headings. Let's let that go. Meanwhile, Claude hit the limit. So we say continue, which you never know if this is gonna work and continue, but we're gonna hope. So that's a big reason why you would use Bolt, is it uses the API, the Cloud API instead, and you basically don't run out of limits like that, however they have it set up. I'm liking how that looks. I mean, just adding images changes a lot, huh? And now we're competing with Squarespace already. I'm gonna say do what Claude did, make the mission vision valores 3 columns. It's funny, we really didn't need much more than that, huh? A font, some photos. Meanwhile, Claude's all talking to me in Spanish, but it gave me a README for how to do it, and it gave me all the files I need. So now let's ask, can you create a zip file of this project for me to download? We can also see that Claude was using React icons. So no, it can't. So this is cool. It gives us all these files. It made it for us, but let me tell you right now, it's not worth it. Downloading these files, copy and pasting them into Cursor or Visual Studio, creating a Git repo from this isn't worth it. If ChatGPT does that, do it. Otherwise, bolt.new does all that for you. It puts everything where it needs to go. So it added our CTA. Perfect. Great. Just while we're here for SEO purposes, I would say one last thing, add a blog section with a sample blog post. So this way it's giving us a blog section that we can work with later. And then it's also giving us a sample post. It's making this folder in the pages for the blog, the index page, which is going to just essentially show us the feed. And then here's that one post, imports the layouts. So there's going to be a lot of work that would be done later in this website. Recently, I've been using SEObotai.com. It generates SEO blog posts for you. And so I'm using this for my Montessori school Finder directory, but like it'll generate a post, it'll give you a slug, it'll give you a description, keywords, everything you need for a nice SEO'd post. But then you can connect to its API with your project here. So then this page is really just pulling the API, pulling all your posts from SEO.ai. So there's fun ways that you can connect other services to your project. And you could do that here in the beginning with Bolt. You don't have to do everything. The tokens can be expensive the more you build, but you can take this into Cursor and do things later. There's different ways to keep building. You don't have to feel limited once you've used Bolt.new. You don't have to feel like, oh, it's stuck, because it's not. You can always keep using AI to keep building. You just have to know the right process to do it, so you're not using all your tokens. All right, so let's check out. I made a blog section. Great. Easy, huh? All right, so I think this is good enough. I don't think they're looking for anything greater than that right now. We're obviously going to need to pop in pictures of them eventually, but this is good. Okay, so we have it. All right, we have our Bolt.new website. Next up, it's time to deploy it. Easy. What does deploy mean? It means putting it online. Now, since this project is a package, basically, and it's using this Astro framework and Tailwind CSS, it has to be built. You can't just navigate to www.thiswebsite/layout.astro and expect anything to show up. No, it's not going to work. What you got to do is build it. So then it makes that page, index.html or yoga desarrollo, whatever the URL would be. So here it is. We've deployed it to Netlify. So Hovio, Gelato, and here we are. Wow, huh? Pretty cool. I'm going to add like a call to action button up there. And I mean, there's a lot to do still, but I think you get the point now, is that you've just created something beyond Squarespace or website. It's online. Now let's talk about how to make updates and push them with GitHub. So whenever you make a change from your local computer, it'll automatically change it online. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Bolt.new where we have our project. Okay, now, sure, we've deployed it, but we really haven't done much in the way of being able to update it later because we don't have it on GitHub. We need to put our website on GitHub. So I'm going to go over here to export. I'm going to download the zip just so I have it. And I'm going to say yoga website. And then I'm going to go back to that export again and click open in Stack Blitz. And this is where the fun starts happening. Now it's got a README with how to use this Astro framework. If you've never used Stack Blitz, it's kind of cool because it shows you a deployment of your website as you go. So if you know what you're doing, you don't even really need Cursor, but you probably want an AI agent helping you. So that's why we're going to use Cursor. But how do we get it to Cursor? Well, we click Create a Repository. And I'm going to type in Yoga School, call the repository Yoga School. All right, so we have our repository now. It's on the main branch. You can check out more branches up there. But all that matters now is we want to take this repository and put it on our computer so we can edit it. So I'm going to go to my repositories on GitHub, and here we go, Yoga School. There it is. So this is that website we've been looking at on StackBlitz and Bolt.new, but we need to get this on our computer. So here we are. You'll see that there's only been one commit. It's called a commit message. Only one change has been pushed, and that was the initial commit, which was just all the things. That was 1 minute ago. We're going to see how we're going to add more commits in here every time we make edits, and how that's going to update the website via Netlify. I'm going to click this code button, and I'm going to copy this URL. Now, you can copy the URL or you can copy the SSH. Depending on your privacy settings and what's going on with the repo, you may or may not be able to use the HTTP one, but I'm going to copy and paste that. So now that I've copied it, I'm going to open up a new window on Cursor. And on Cursor, I'm going to click Clone Repo, and I'm going to paste that URL. And now it's going to ask, hey, where do we put it? And I'm going to put it inside this Yoga website. And now it's cloning it. And click Open. And now we have it open here on our computer. What's cool about Cursor is you have an AI agent right here in the corner that will help you do anything. Theoretically, I could have just prompted Cursor here, because I also can use Sonnet here. Be like, hey, do it. Let's go. Here's the website. Here's the data. Make a website. I could have done that, but I didn't because I wanted to show you this stack with Bolt. I still think Bolt is pretty fantastic for starting a website from scratch. There's a reason they built it that way. They know what they're doing. So we've got our whole project over here, and say we go back now to StackBlitz, and we're looking at our website over here. And let's say I wanted to add a call to action button up there. So I'm going to go back to Cursor. I'm going to open up that same code here in Cursor, and then I am going to highlight the nav here. And I'm going to send it to the chat with Command I. And I'm going to say to the agent, not to ask, not to edit, I'm going to say to the agent, add a CTA button for the next course on the right hand side of the nav bar. So what the agent does here is it's reading through the code. Now you can imagine if we had a more complex website, there would be a lot more complexity going on this page. This is all just basic HTML. There's no, like, are there any components here either? Not really. But if we go back, let's see, it makes a change, and it makes a button with a rounded edges, white text. I don't know what the primary background color will be. It's got a hover effect. Great. So we say accept, save it. So here on Cursor, now I'm going to start a new terminal. Go up here to terminal, new terminal. And now I'm basically going to install it. npm install. Okay, and now I do npm run dev. I'm going to command click that, and it's going to show me the same site as on StackBlitz over here. Real quick, I just wanted to let you know that I have this free little email course for you. If you're new to the command line, if you want to start building with AI and making websites without WordPress and without Wix or Squarespace or Card, like, it's a really good time to learn how to do that. The Git is not that hard. The command line is not that hard. It just takes a little focus. So this 5-day email course will take you 5 minutes for 5 days. And all you got to do is read it. There's some simple things you put into the terminal here. And by the end of it, you're going to feel a lot more confident in using the command line. You're obviously not going to know what you're doing after 5 minutes for 5 days, but you're going to feel more comfortable with it. And you're going to start understanding how it works a little bit more. You can also do it all in one day. You can just jump ahead to the next lesson. So check the link in the description. I highly recommend it, especially if you're following the tutorials I put in these videos. Okay, so let's get back to the build. So here on StackBlitz, you can legitimately change things in real time. When you make changes on the page and press save, it'll show it over there as well. But meanwhile, I can just look at it here, and I can go back and forth from Cursor, and I don't need the internet at all. Now, there's going to be different times or you might want something where you might not. As you can see here, it moved the menu to the middle and it added this button. Okay, so that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So now, for example, I want to put this call to action before the blog. I'm going to go over to the index page and I'm going to just copy all of it, send it to the agent and say, switch the blog section with the CTA section. Easy. And now it's just going to move a couple things, which I could have done that, right? Also, when things are like, you have to scroll over horizontally and it's kind of annoying, you can just go to view word wrap or option Z and it'll automatically put everything so you don't have to scroll horizontally. That's a pro tip. So I'm accepting the file, I save it, and now look what happens when I refresh it here. Boom, it put the call to action there before the blog. So now I'm going to say after the blog section, add a join the newsletter CTA form. And then we'll plug this newsletter form in to, I think she uses MailChimp, but ConvertKit or Mautic or whatever we decide to use for this project. We accept the changes there, we save it. Okay, and then we come back and we come back down here and boom, Unite and the Western newsletter. And there's that. And I guess the footer's down here, but you can't see it on the screen share. But okay, so this website is good enough for now. Like I said, all you got to do to add functionality is find where you want it, copy and paste it, or copy it, send it to the chat, or paste it into the chat, which is basically just giving it context here. So by context, you're saying, look at what? Look at these files. You could say, look at index.astro. And then you could even tag the page, index.astro, and say, hey, look in here to fix the fonts. I don't know what it is. So that's an intro to how you would use Cursor a bit to help you do things. And obviously for just text changes, you can just go in here and change it yourself. Now, let's talk about Git. So I'm gonna exit the npm run dev. And so now we have a Git repo. This is a Git repo. It's on GitHub. And if we click over here, you can see the version control tab, which is Git basically. And it's saying, okay, you've made these changes since this basically, since the initial commit. And I can type in git diff and it'll show me every change that was made. So this many removals, this many additions, this is where, blah, blah, blah. So we've got these changes and simply we could just write switch blog and CTA sections, and we also added newsletter CTA. We could just write that commit message and press commit. Or if you want to do it in the command line, which I always recommend, we go, whoa. Let's start over with this terminal. We go to the command line and we stage all the changes by saying git add dot. And that's really just saying add every file in the folder, add it to our potential list of changes. I mean, I'm not a developer, but that's how I see it. But you always got to do that. Git add dot. Then you say git. And then what you see what that does is it staged the changes. So they went from changes to staged changes, which means like, yo, we're sending these changes, we're shipping them. So now we say git commit m, and the flag m means the message. What's the message? Oh no, that was weird. What's the message? Switch blog and CTA sections, added newsletter CTA, right? So that's the message. Whether I do that here or here, it's the same. So I'm gonna git commit m, I'm gonna press enter, boom, and now you see that those disappeared up here because we already did it. So those changes were sent, and now you can see the extra commit was here. This is kind of cool about the interface, is you can see, you can visualize the git changes instead of just having to like do the commands and know the structure in your head. So what you can see is there's all these other things that are also in the command line, but you can fetch from all remotes, you can pull, you can push, I guess refresh, but what we're about to do is push. So we made a bunch of changes, we staged them, we committed them, but we haven't sent the changes, like the files, to GitHub, to where our Git repository is being hosted. So that's why we run git push now. And it wants to sign in using GitHub. Okay. So this is why you would probably want to use SSH with GitHub, because then you don't have to like sign in through HTTP. But regardless, we're in, it's got permission, and it finished the push. And now you can see that we are at this section here. Our next commit is like the main one. It's on the main one. And so now you can see StackBlitz will automatically update with that latest commit. And now you can also do commits here. So you can create a new branch, which is called, like, if you have the main project, but I need to work on this and you need to work on this, you create a new branch and then you meet them back later. You can create a new branch and you can push it the same way. Like if someone else was working on the site with you. This is why version control is so important. So you don't lose things, you don't overwrite things. But simple enough for just a one-person team, because as long as you've pushed those commits to GitHub, then you're going to have your changes wherever you need them. So the final thing in our stack here is to check Netlify. So now we're going to go to Netlify and we're going to make an account, and it's free for, unless you're running really big sites, it's free. You get 300 build minutes. And you can see I already deployed this from Bolt earlier, the Jovial Gelato. And so that's how we're seeing it, because we just did it from Bolt. But we did that on Bolt before we had actually synced the repo to GitHub. So we go here to build and deploy, and we link a repository. We click link a site, and then it's going to show you all your GitHub repositories. I click Yoga School. It's choosing the main branch, which is, we didn't get too deep into branches. But yeah, we want main. That's the only one anyway. All this can basically be the same. This npm run build is the same. I was running npm run dev, but npm run build just builds the final files. It doesn't like refresh when you make a change. Functions are in there. We don't have any environmental variables. Basically, environmental variables would be if you're using an API like Google Maps and you need to put a key in there. You don't want to just put that in your code. You want to have it on the server where it can't be found by malicious actors. So you can add your environmental variables in here. We'll probably do that in another video. Now I click deploy Yoga School, and we're off to the races. And you can see now it's about to build, because there was an update when I committed that message with the extra button and all that, the stuff I did on Cursor. So now it's published, and now you can see here, and there are 1, 2, 3. Your site's developed, but now we need to set up a domain. So you can buy a domain from them, or you can connect your own domain. SadonaEscuela.com, add domain. All right, so I've added the name servers, and it's going to take some time there. But then soon, once that's activated, we can activate the SSL, and we'll be able to navigate to SadonaEscuela.com, and we'll see our beautiful website. So to wrap this video up, I made some more changes here in the repo, and I'm just going to do one last commit and push and show you how Netlify updates the whole project and redeploys it. Git add to stage all the changes. Git commit, experiences page, hide blog, add new CTA, add resources. And then basically, I'm going to show you this side by side here before I do git push. So now here we go, and you'll see all the deploys. It's only deployed once. And so watch, as soon as I do git push here, I refresh it, and boom. We have this new one building. And you can also see the new commit we get here in GitHub. And there it is. So this whole site is basically running off of GitHub and Netlify. So now it's published. So now we go to SadonaEscuela.com. This is live on the internet. We got some fake testimonials. All right, so that's how you do it. This is how you make a basic website without coding knowledge, not having to use WordPress or things like that. What's cool about this technique is that you can add more functionality, even from the get-go in Bolt. If you wanted to add in a way to log in, so users can make an account, log in, you could connect it to Supabase. We'll do that in another video. But by creating a website this way, even if you don't know where it's going to go, you're leaving the possibilities open to adding more functionality to your website, to your directory, whatever it is. So I highly recommend giving this a shot and getting comfortable with Git and the command line in this sense and Cursor. I think moving forward into the future, to get the most amount of things done with complete control over the workflow you want, you gotta learn to just get comfortable in the back end, like with Cursor. So Cursor is a great tool. I highly recommend starting to use it. So if you learned something here, I appreciate a like, and let me know what you're working on. Let me know if this video helped you at all, if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon.